bad behavior records, Sarah wants money for a psych eval, motions to intervene. Y'all, there's been so much paperwork recently in this case, the Sarah Boone case, and we're going to go over it in today's video. Welcome back to the sofa, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. My name is Paul, and that's the sofa back there. Now, what we're going to be doing specifically in this video today is going over a plethora of like motions, letters, inmate behavior, stuff on Sarah, all the stuff that they upload to the My Orange Clerk. Not all of it literally, but the parts that stuck out to me that are kind of in relation to the videos that we've gone over recently. So we're just going to go over those. It's going to be that kind of video. I'll put them up on the screen. You can read along. You can listen along. You can sing along if you want to. That's what I do sometimes to make it more entertaining. In fact, I wrote a little song y'all want to hear. Here it goes. I'm not going to make y'all suffer. We just lost 50% of the viewers. They're like, I'm done. I can't. I could handle Sarah Boone, but when it becomes a sing-along, I draw the line somewhere. Okay? For the sake of humanity and my sanity, we gotta have a line somewhere. And you just crossed it. Okay. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do that so you can, go along on the journey with me, if you will. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with this case, I'm glad you are, okay? You're probably much better off keeping it that way. In fact, just stop the video, go do something else, right? Do not become familiar with the Sarah the Boones, okay? The Boone's Farm. Sarah Boone is currently incarcerated. She has been accused and allegedly took the life of George. That is her former lover, her former boyfriend, her former live-in. She somehow managed to get him into a suitcase. He begged to get out. She would not let him out. He finally succumbed to asphyxiation. She thought she could get away with it. Those are my words. She has not been proven guilty yet. But she recorded it and forgot that she recorded it. So she's been charged. She is sat in county jail for 5 years now. She has scared off every single lawyer. The judge has made her go pro se, and she is representing herself now. And you just, that's the nuts and bolts of it. If you're unfamiliar with it, I have a huge playlist on it. You can go back and watch it. So, that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the first motion to intervene situation that went on. Now, what this is Sarah's not wanting the media to have access to her, like viewing evidence and that type of stuff. Now, there's already been a hearing on it. She has lost said hearing, but I want to quickly go over the motion that was submitted by the media just because I thought it was interesting. So we're just going to quickly go over that and then one from like an addition from Orlando Sentinel, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so on the screen you're going to see here the motion to intervene for limited purpose of opposing closure. Now this is WFTV-TV Channel 9. They're intervening in this action for the limited purpose of opposing closure of judicial proceedings, and support thereof the WFTV states as follows. WFTV has covered the murder of Jorge or George Torres and the arrest, investigation, and prosecution of defendant Sarah Boone. Reporters from WFTV attend court proceedings and rely upon state, county, and local public records as well as judicial records as part of their news gathering process. This court has set a physical viewing of this evidence for September 3rd, 2024, and is set to consider the media's attendance at the viewing during a hearing on August 14th, 2024. Any closure of the physical viewing directly affects the media's and the public's right to monitor this important criminal proceeding. As such, WFTV has standing to intervene and oppose any requested closure. And then they ask you to see, case law or a situation here. WFTV would like to be heard in this matter and assert that any requested closure should be denied. Florida has traditionally served as a model for open government and courts. It is well settled in the state that criminal court proceedings and presumptively are presumptively open to the public. The Florida Supreme Court has stated that a trial is a public event which transpires in the courtroom is public property. Therefore, when considering a request to close court proceedings, this court should begin its consideration with the assumption that a pretrial hearing be conducted in open court, unless those seeking closure carry their burden to demonstrate a strict and inescapable necessity for closure. In order to justify closure, the moving party must meet an exacting standard and show: A, closure is necessary to prevent a serious and imminent threat to administration of justice. No alternative other than a change of venue would protect the defendant's right to a fair trial. And C, closure would be effective in protecting the rights of the accused without being broader than than necessary to accomplish this purpose. Moving on to the next page 3. First, closure is not necessary to prevent a serious and imminent threat to the administration of justice. Importantly, the fact that the proceeding will involve viewing evidence does not alter this court's Lewis analysis, and it states some case law here. And then let's just go on to the last one. And any attendant publicity is not synonymous with prejudice, as the Supreme Court explained. Now they do go into this here. They also give some citations at the bottom of this. Let's move on to page 4. Second, alternatives to closure exist to protect the defendant's fair trial rights. For example, traditional techniques during jury selection can be used to insulate the jury from the consequences of publicity. They do some citations there. Number 10, finally, closure will be ineffective and broader than necessary to protect the defendant's fair trial rights. When prejudicial information already has been made public, there would be little justification for closing a pretrial hearing in order to prevent only the discourse of details which have already been publicized. And then it goes to citation, and it says here, this matter has been public since its inception, and there's no need to close proceedings now. And then it just continues on down there. Now let's pause at number 10, because this is a huge key point for me. Now again, if you're brand new to the channel, just understand I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a police officer, I'm not an investigator. None of that fancy stuff. We ain't got no credentials. Only credentials up in here are a damn pretend sofa and some sass. Okay. So that's what we're working off of. Okay, so these are just my opinions on this, but reading this, yeah, because I am conflicted with stuff like this, because I'm like, wow, it is interesting how like open access everything is here in America, and then like, obviously in Florida. However, on that thought over here, I mean, let's get petty for a second. It's like, girl, and I'm talking to Sarah, I'm like, girl, the only thing you need to be worried about, the most worst damning public information, is the damn video you took of yourself commit the crime. Can I get a damn amen? Can I get a gavel on the damn bench? Case closed, let's go home. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Now, I know that she hasn't had her day in court, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm just being kind of silly there, obviously, I know. But, for real, in this kind of situation where everything is out there, it's kind of like, yeah, why close this off now? You know, if this had been very like hush hush and secretive and this and that, and then they want to put this out here, I could see more like, well, wait, why? I mean, obviously I want to see it, right? But from the different perspectives, like, well, why are we putting this out there like that now? I understand her or anyone being like, I don't want them to see my reaction, but probably specifically from her, because she, again, people like her who just pull this next level behavior that she's been pulling, they don't have self-awareness. But maybe she has enough to know that she shouldn't be, you know, seen publicly doing this, because it's not going to fare well for her, right? She's going to either have some reaction to it. It's just, they are their own worst enemy. And I'm kind of here for it, right? Because it will at least bring justice. But watching it unfold, you're just like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, I can only imagine the look on her face when they go through this stuff. Plays, right? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so let's just finish up this last one real quick, the first little bit of it here. Rather than a hindrance to the administration of justice and Sixth Amendment rights, heightened public attention only increases the need for appearance of fairness. Now, here's the thing, we'll just stop there, and then it goes on there with this, all we're going to do with this particular motion here. Yes, in this case right here, this is one of those where I'm like, absolutely, you need to put everything absolutely up there, because she is going to be screaming from the top of the bleachers, unfair, 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 unfair. She's already doing it, right? So it's almost like this is like she's calling herself into throwing herself in the briar patch because of her behavior. It's like, girl, the only thing that the court would make sense to do is to make this completely transparent to everybody, so that there's nothing hidden. All rocks are turned upside down. There's nothing in the dark with this, right? Everything's out on the table in the broad daylight. And I don't know if she thinks that's gonna work to her behavior, but I can tell you this, it ain't gonna be good. Oh God, because her behavior's front and center. You know, plain and simple. It's what it comes down to. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to read like kind of like an addition to that from the Orlando Sentinel. So let's read this real quick. And at the top of it, it says Orlando Sentinel's motion to intervene in notice of joinder. Orlando Sentinel moves to intervene in this action for the limited purpose of opposing closure of judicial proceedings. So they're like, hold on, let us in here, right? We want some of this pie too. Put our $2 on the poker table too for this. The Sentinel is a daily newspaper of general circulation in Central Florida. It has continues to report on the the instant matter and relies upon judicial proceedings and records as part of its news gathering process. The Sentinel has standing to intervene and oppose any requested closure of the proceedings and joins and adopts a motion to intervene for the limited purpose of opposing closure filed by WFTV-TV Channel 9. So that's that. I mean, basically they're just hopping on the bandwagon and being like, yeah, absolutely. I get what these media sources are saying. I mean, again, it's a hot story, so they're wanting to do that and they rely on that. And I mean, I get it, right? And if she had come at this in a little bit different, you know, and again, the judge was going with everything there where he was like, yeah, you failed to, you know, provide reason why we should close this off, Sarah. So sorry, but blame Boone on that one, please hold. I mean, I get it. Now, let's go to the next one. I'm trying to get kind of the boring ones out of the way so we can get to the good ones. Okay. Let's go to a document from her private investigator. So I'm going to put on the screen. It says Prison Break Investigations, August 10th, 2024. We're just going to read through this real quick. Friday, August 9th, 2024, 8:45 a.m., Investigator Billy Lane attended a hearing for Sarah Boone before the Honorable Judge Michael Kranick. Investigator Lane was in possession of 2 boxes of discovery materials previously provided by the courts, which he had digitized. Digitized. You already know, I can't with that. During the hearing, the Investigator Lane took possession of a thumb drive provided by the state attorney's office containing electronic discovery that the state intends to use in the case. Additionally, the court requested that Investigator Lane transfer the deposition of Scott Lowen and Chelsea Koopsel to a thumb drive. The court then instructed Investigator Lane to hand deliver the 2 boxes and the thumb drive to the Orange County Jail, specifically to Major Muhammad. Later that day, at approximately 11:30 a.m., Investigator Lane drove to the Orange County Jail and made contact with Major Muhammad. He released the 2 boxes and 2 thumb drives to Major Muhammad, informing him that the items were legal documents for inmate Sarah Boone. This communication was submitted via email August 10th. Orange County clerks addressed the Honorable Judge, and it just goes into the stuff there. So Billy Lane there. It really sounds like a TV show. The whole thing, even the logo. I mean, look at it. Prison Break Investigations. You know what I'm saying? It's like very official. You know, she's exhausted this poor man. Absolutely exhausted him already. Now, if you've been watching the trial and whatnot, you'll know that this went down. There's been major drama over the damn boxes of discovery. She talked her way into them and then talked her ass right back on out of them. I mean, I've never seen someone be their worst enemy like this. Well, besides myself, to me, okay, let's just be honest. But she runs a real tough bargain on that even. I mean, my God. Okay, but there's been drama ongoing, you know, the thumbnails, this, you know, now the jail says no, she can't have the boxes. Well, then why does she get them? Well, then take them out. Well, then give her a flame retardant bag. I mean, all the while, she didn't even look at the damn boxes. Okay, so if you watch my video or the live chat on the hearing or whatever for these things, you know, we went over this. I'm just kind of briefly going over it here in case you didn't watch those or you're not privy to it. Please hold. Let's go into the next document. Okay, let's look at her motion. They briefly went over it. She handed it in. The judge is like, we can't do this. We have to have a whole thing. But here's the handwritten motion or whatever. And this is State of Florida, obviously, versus Sarah Boone. You can see it up here. And it says, motion for payment of cost and appointing neuropsychology to assist the defendants in preparation of the defense. Okay. Can we get a damn crowdfund? I would love to see what they diagnose her with. And then crowdfund the damn state one too, because you know they're going to have different things. These people are coming up here and talking about, yeah, she's fried. She's, no control over anything, not what she's doing, not her bladder, nothing. You know, I mean, you name it, right? So, let's get into it. So this is just kind of, you know, the next paragraph is, you know, talking about her coming up here, the cost and whatnot. So number 1, let's get into the bottom. Reasonable fees for a neuropsychologist. Their services include, and now I'm not one to usually do this or whatever, but because we're being petty here, she used the wrong there. Okay, it says There, right? And I believe it's supposed to be Their. Okay. I would think that Sarah dotting her I's and crossing her T's. Can you imagine if the judge sent it back and the only thing he responded on it was almost like you have to read some of this and he crossed it out and did the correct there? You know how people do in the comment sections when they're trying to, like, you know, put one on somebody or whatever? Can Can you imagine? She would absolutely lose it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so their services include the reviewing of documents and physical evidence, writing of reports, travel, and trial testimony. As grounds, the defendant states the following. Defendant is charged with second-degree M. B. The defendant has been adjudged indigent for cost. C. Defendant has no income and cannot afford the services of a neuropsychologist. What about your fans? A genuine issue exists related to this case, which will require the assistance of an expert witness in the field of neuropsychology. Right there. Read between the lines. Read between the lines. E. Defendant is without funds and doesn't have the ability to pay the cost associated with an expert witness to assist in the defense of this matter. Therefore, she requires the assistance of the state of Florida to guarantee protection of her right to the process and effective assistance of counsel. F. Counsel has contacted neuropsychologist Dr. Hyman Einstein. Defendant intends to engage the services of Dr. Hyman Einstein. Dr. Hyman Einstein graduated from the University of Chicago, Division of Biological Sciences, the Pulitzer School of Medicine in 1982. He works in Miami Beach, Florida, specializing in psychology. Can you imagine if they came up when she was like, he graduated from, and she put like some college that was like a known like paper mill, you know what I mean? Or like a scam college, you know what I'm saying? Like one of those is like, really? H. Defendant seeks permission to allocate funds for Dr. Hyman Einstein services at a rate of $300 per hour for all the work performed on the case except travel time billed at $125 per hour with an initial cap of $15,000. My God. Plus reimbursement for all reasonable and necessary related expenses, including but not limited to travel expenses, lodging, meals, mileage, postage, shipping, and document reproduction, and is a service provider with the JC. I. Defendant cannot properly prepare for trial until expert analysis is complete. J. Defendant has attempted to request this evaluation through her previous appointed attorneys without success, based on several factors to include the attorney not being able to locate the proper specialist in this field of neuropsychology, the willingness of the neuropsychologist to work the case, and the authorization of the JC to pay for said neuropsychologist. So this right here is kind of telling you between the lines of some things that might have been going on. And again, I don't have any privy information. I don't know. I know that there's other channels that are more in depth, or meaning like they maybe even like know her or correspond with her, this kind of stuff. So I'm coming from like that place of just reading it verbatim and being like, okay, I'm reading between the lines here, and between the lines to me tells me this is probably something that she was coming to the attorneys with, talking about, I've got whatever it is she's wanting to, you know, this is her excuse, whatever. She could be trying to say that she's narcoleptic or whatever the word is when you just fall asleep. Who knows, right? But this is very interesting to me. And on this note here, it looks like if they were getting stuck at this, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't move past this. Therein could be the issue why we're going through so many attorneys. Let's keep going. Okay, K. Defendant believes that her pattern of behavior stems from a lifetime of mental and physical abuse and believes that she cannot have a proper defense without a neuropsychologist who can evaluate her exposure to this trauma. Very interesting. So this is part of the defense where she's coming up with, look, I experienced ABC. Okay. A neuropsychologist specializes in understanding the relationship between the brain and behavior. Given the complexity of the defendant's mental health history, it is critical to assess her cognitive functioning and mental state to determine how these factors may have influenced her actions. Wherefore, the defendant Sarah Boone, by way of pro se, respectfully requests to this honorable court in conclusion for the payment of costs and appointing neuropsychology to assist with the defendant in preparation of the defense. And it just goes into the oath there, and it's signed Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone. Okay, now on the note of seeking payment, let's go look at a couple of pieces of paper from her former attorney, one of her former attorneys, who wants to get paid too. Okay, so on the screen here, you're going to see motion for attorney's fee requesting for hearing. Did you see how like customer service I did when I said that? I was like, motion for attorney's fee request for hearing. Thank you for shopping the Sofa Squad. How may I help you? Please come again. Let's keep going. Okay, so it says, come now, Winston Hobson, Esquire, and that's when I'm waiting for Sarah to sign her stuff. Sarah Boone, Esquire. This is the thing. William Hobson, Esquire, private court appointed attorney in the above entitled cause, and files this motion for attorney's fee pursuant to section, and list the numbers off, and then the support things that he's listed here. So we'll just go through quickly. Number 1, Winston was duly appointed to represent the defendant September 8th, 2023. The undersigned is now billing on this case because the case has reached final deposition in the representation. The Justice Administration Commission's JAC response to the billing was to object to the flat fee amount of $15,000 for attorney fees, and a hearing is requested. A copy of the objection letter is attached. A copy of the order of June 28, 2024 is also attached. The undersigned counsel represented the defendant from the date of appointment through February 9th, 2024, when the court discharged counsel and appointed attorney Patricia Cashman. Defendant now represents of herself after discharge of attorney Cashman. The order of appointment of undersigned counsel is on file with the JAC. The defendant was ordered to represent herself. The defendant was charged in the above style cause with 1 count of second-degree M. The maximum sentence the defendant faces is life imprisonment. Because of the length of the representation of this case, the volume of discovery, the witness list, and the complexity of issues, counsel is seeking payment of the flat fee in the matter. Basically, she worked my ass off, give me my damn money. That's what this comes down to. And I don't give him a damn bonus too. I don't blame him. Okay, this case involved voluminous pages of discovery, amen. Filling 2 or more bankers' boxes, filling 2 or more bankers' boxes, photographs, and numerous hours of audio and video statements in the case, viewing voluminous amount of video material in the public domain, hours of consultation and discussions with an expert psychologist in attempts to develop defense in this matter, letters to and from the defendant, video and in-person visits with the defendant at the Orange County Jail, numerous consultations with the investigator, in-person visits at the jail with the investigator, Mr. Billy Lane. Counsel reviewed numerous and very extensive letters from the defendant and did extensive review and research into legal matters, many at the defendant's request. Counsel spent no fewer than 200 hours in this representation. Counsel copied and sent over $400 of copy cost of information to the defendant. Until the court order is entered, JAC will not refund this amount. Okay, so what I wanted to do with that was just put up to list off all the things they put in there. What stood out to me with this was, so notice that he's like, we hung out with the psychologist, we talked to the psychologist. I think Sarah has it in her mind. Remember, it's going to always shift and change. So when one thing doesn't start to work, she'll shift the thing and act like that was the whole goal the whole time. I think she is trying to go with a psychological, neuropsychology, whatever you call it, situation. That's the reasoning. And when they probably met with the first psychologist, and they were like, she's just crazy. I mean, like, and not like that kind of way. Like, she's just turned up. She was probably like, well, no, now it's gonna be this, and they're just like, you can't. She's probably literally asking people to make stuff up, right? Because she kind of lives in that reality. Now, again, I don't know her, and I wasn't there, and I'm not privy to these conversations. It's just my opinion, and it's a biased opinion. But it's the energy that I get. I feel like through these documents, we're kind of seeing more and more what was going on with these attorneys, which is pretty much, like, honestly, is what we all kind of were thinking. There's numerous reasons and things going on at one time, and to me, it's just confirming that. Because we've all talked about this here in the videos, in the comment section, live chat, stuff like that. We've all talked about these same things. Like, she's probably doing this, she's probably doing that. And to me, again, she's like telling on herself with these, right? Okay, speaking of, okay, let's get to what I consider the best. Okay, say the best for last, that's what they say. Okay, here we are, we're at the last, it's the best. So they put this up on her thing on the My Orange Clerk. Now, also, here's the thing, y'all, if you don't know, you can go to My Orange Clerk, and this is all right there, right? You just gotta look it up. So if you're wanting to, like, stay in tune, like, do it right there, it's all public information, you can go look at it. So just know that, okay? But I enjoy going over it, too. So we're gonna put this on the screen, and this is just her inmate behavior notes. So let's get into it. Okay, now you see on the screen here, it says inmate behavior notes. Okay, so, and this is just like documentation here, okay? So you can see here on 8/6/2024, a laptop, and this is the second one down, thumb drive, discovery hard drive issued to Inmate Boone. You can see down 8/6/2024, USB discovery hard drive arrives in dorm. Then we have same date, inmate verbally refused breakfast. Okay, then we go down here. Okay, All right. Okay. So we have 8/7/2024, 6:12 p.m. Boone returned laptop, USB, and drive at 1600 hours. Go down to the next one. Inmate Boone, now this is 10:37 p.m. allegedly, was called out for an attorney visit in FDC B dorm. Inmate Boone stated, "No, I don't have an attorney. I had too many random people coming to see because of my case. I took the paperwork from the attorney and delivered the paperwork to Inmate Boone." Okay, so this is her saying, "I don't have some attorney. I don't have this and that, whatever, you know, Okay. 12:14 a.m. Inmate Boone, this is 8/8/2024. Date observes, this is like, appears to be when they're like making the notes or whatever, right? It says, where are we? Boone was advised at approximately 21:59 hours that she had an attorney visit. Inmate Boone requested to know who the attorney was, being that she has no attorney assigned to her. Inmate Boone stated that she does not feel comfortable visiting anyone that she doesn't know because crazy people have been reaching out and scheduling visits with her, claiming to be someone they are not. Inmate Boone was notified that the attorney's name was James Wachzewski. I hope I'm saying that right. However, due to Inmate Boone's delay in response on whether or not she wanted to meet with him, he dropped off her case files and departed. When Inmate Boone was given her files and notified of the attorney's departure, she began to remember who he was and became upset. Inmate Boone mentioned that she has met with him previously and that he traveled from Tallahassee just to meet with her. It was explained to Inmate Boone that we are not responsible for his departure. She was notified of his presence and her delay in response resulted in his departure. Sergeant Marino was made aware of the information, since this is for documentation purposes only. Okay, then we just go down to the next one about, you know, receiving the laptop. Now, let's go down to page 2 here on the next one. And this is, I don't see a date on this top page, but let's just keep going. Okay, so beneath that it's 8/8/24, so we're probably still done with that. Anyways, I spoke with Inmate Boone, Sarah, about the items in her property. Inmate Boone stated she has everything she needed to properly represent herself. This entry is for information purposes only. Go down one, Inmate Boone, laptop, thumb drive, and hard drive to the officer. Items were returned to the control room. Go down another. Inmate Boone turned in a request form attached with a letter for Captain Giovanni, Corporal Dompat, I hope I'm saying those names right, I apologize, received the letter and gave it to Sergeant De Jesus. Due to Captain De Giovanni not being there, it will be given to her upon her return, and Boone was made aware. The next one down. Boone receives 3 USBs, laptop, 2 boxes with discovery and paperwork. Next one down. Boone, laptop, 3 USBs have been returned to the main control. Okay, now we just continue on with this. You know, she goes out for an interview. Inmate refused breakfast tray. This is 8/11. Another one where she receives the hard drive and all that. Okay, so the inmate behavior stuff. To me, you know, you're just seeing the documentation of stuff. You see how they're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's. She has everything she needs for this. Trust me, they're over her and they're going to bang her up if they can. The whole thing with the attorneys coming and going and all this and that, I can only imagine how many people are, I believe her when she says that people are coming there to see her and do stuff like that, I'm sure. But again, if I was in her position, I would probably be willing to go see anybody, because you could just go in there. If it's not who they say they are, well then you turn around and leave. You know what I'm saying? So you just turn around and leave. If I was her, I would be going over, I would meet everybody, right? I would just be like screaming from the top of my lungs, like whatever it is she's wanting to scream. Can you do this? Can you do that? What's this? What's that? You know, what else is she doing? To me, again, I just stand by this. She goes to court and talks a big game in these motions. But what I'm seeing is somebody who kind of seems to be piddling away and just doing whatever. She hadn't looked through the boxes last court hearing we went over. You know, now she's like turning down attorney visits. Oh, crazy people are coming to see me. Well, with the level of desperation that she's exhibiting, why wouldn't you see everybody? Why wouldn't you do ABC? Why, you know what I'm saying? Like, these things come up. Why wouldn't you have gone through these boxes of discovery? You begged for them, had motions, hearings, all this, and you haven't gone through them? Really? Okay. Because that shows to me, you know, it comes down to that. If you don't care, I don't care. You know, she just wants to cause turmoil. That's her motive. And she wants to go against the grain and do whatever she can to be kind of a pain in the butt. So, we'll see how it plays out. I just want to go over these motions for this video. Kind of, it helps put me on the right page with it too, to be honest, and keep up with it. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think, especially about the theories of like what kind of defense, like, are you getting the same vibes I am about the defense? I mean, like, that's where she's going with this, and this is probably the issues that she's caused. So let me know what you think down in the comment section. And also, please drop some little sofas off there for me and Roscoe in spirit, so we can meander on down there, hang out, talk about Sarah, all these other crazy cases and people we talk about. And until we do meander, not, I almost said Miranda Lambert down there. Until we Miranda Lambert down there, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.